What does freedom look like? What does it sound like, smell like, taste like, feel like? One way to know what it is to know what it isn't. This is Every Phase piece number 43, a Luteal Phase piece of the 25th cycle titled The Sound of Freedom in Blue Cyanotype. This piece was released July 28, 2023. There is one issue that spans all races, genders, religions, and affects all people. It is one that could unite us, yet it divides us. Liberals are trafficked, conservatives are trafficked, LGBTQIA plus are trafficked. Christians, schizophrenics, Muslims, Jews, gays, straights, children, adults, men, women, transgendered, black, brown, white, purple, everyone. Hence the name human trafficking. It affects all of us. The Sound of Freedom is America's #1 movie right now, but many people haven't heard of it or know what it's about. The media either doesn't talk about it or references it as a conspiracy theory film, while posts about it are banned as well as fundraisers. Instead, you hear about the legend of a plastic doll, Barbie. A story about a manufactured inanimate object is getting more attention than an actual real hero. Tim Ballard is who The Sound of Freedom is based on. In a true story, who rescued children from rape, sexual abuse, and a life of slave labor from their traffickers. There are shows about how to make a sex room on Netflix, yet trafficking children is shadow banned and is now a political issue. What the actual fuck? The angered reaction to the human trafficking issue from mainstream media labeling it as a conspiracy theory, anti-liberal, and anti-pedophile reveals that there is a wound to defend. The question is, what is the wound that these people are defending? Why would someone's automatic response about human trafficking and support for this movie be that it's an attack on the left? That particular political group hasn't been brought up except for their own response to it. Our reactions are more telling of our truth than the marketing statements and arguments that we make. How would you feel if you had been raped, trafficked, and abused, and someone called it an attack on pedophiles or a conspiracy theory? These reactions remind me of the gaslighting from doctors who told me my issues with endometriosis were all in my head, literally. They told me my pain with my period was a psychological issue, but they were more than happy to offer me a prescription to birth control or the puberty blocking Lupron, which is what they give women transitioning to become men, by the way. So if it's all in my head, why would I need birth control or Lupron? The answer to end all of these discussions is education. The truth will set you free. Once I educated myself, I was able to heal myself by learning what I did not once know. Once you really look for yourself, you become less likely to be manipulated by sales pitches and propaganda. This is where there is a real effort to keep people uneducated, looking somewhere else, playing with dolls. Take a break from the marketing. Here are some facts. Fact: human trafficking is the second largest and fastest growing criminal industry in the world, second only to drug trafficking, which it looks like it will probably surpass. Fact: children account for half of the victims of human trafficking that we know of. Fact: Sound of Freedom tells the real-life story of Tim Ballard, a former U.S. government agent who decides to travel to Colombia to free two Honduran siblings. Along the way, he rescues 50 children from the clutches of criminal organizations. Just because you don't like the reality of something doesn't make it a conspiracy theory because something is inconvenient to face. With the balance of progesterone production being a main focus during our current luteal phase, the subject of child trafficking is particularly relevant. Progesterone is responsible for thickening the uterine lining, hence creating a good environment for a fertilized egg or pregnancy. just as we are responsible for creating that environment of healthy boundaries within our lifestyle. If the egg hasn't chosen a sperm, meaning there is no pregnancy during that cycle, the corpus luteum, that lining, breaks down and is reabsorbed into the body with utmost efficiency. This points to the two most precious things worth protecting: your sacred sexuality and your childhood. When we ignore our bodies and run ourselves over, we traffic ourselves. Human trafficking doesn't get to perpetuate in a world I live in. Instead of a percentage of my sales going to an art gallery or a museum, I have chosen to give 13% of all profits to Operation Underground Railroad, which is the organization Tim Ballard created, every month to end child trafficking. When you purchase art or any of my services, you are helping this mission and our humanity. We traffic ourselves when we sell out on our integrity, when we ignore something we know is happening, when we say or do nothing in the face of tyranny. The more me I become, the more I will attract friends, and the more I will be known by my enemies. Who you are is up to you. It isn't defined by what's between your legs or what's happened to you. It is defined by your actions, what you stand for, and what you stand against. Finding and claiming who you are is that freedom that no one can ever take away. What is worth that fight? I am making videos of select pieces of this series, but for the full Every Phase journey and the newest releases, subscribe for free on my website to join my 13-year visual art journey. My experience healing myself of 17 years with endometriosis inspired me to actually live my art. So I created this ongoing art series about it called Every Phase, which is what you're watching right now, where I create artwork that illustrates how I healed myself as I live by the phases of the female hormonal cycle. You probably heard of the everyday projects like a sketch a day and like the crypto art breaking sale of people's everydays, in which he created an image from start to finish every day for 5,000 days. In April 2021, instead of an everyday series, I began my Every Phase series, creating a piece of art from start to completion, not every day, but every phase for 13 years. So basically the feminine response to people's project and the plethora of everyday's projects out there. Within each female 28-day cycle, there are 4 phases: follicular, ovulatory, luteal, and menstrual. The art illustrates the different brain and body chemistry of what's occurring during that particular phase and reveals how to biohack and leverage this energy in your life. Follow this vlog series by subscribing to this channel as I actually live the art within each phase. And if you prefer writing, check out my Every Phase blog. In addition to the original works, I have created all of the images in the series as $50 limited edition bite-size acrylic art block collectibles. So at the end of 13 years, the entire collection can be enjoyed as a whole without completely taking over your entire house. Speaking of living the art, this series is about way more than just healing. These videos, as well as the writing and art pieces, discuss truth, freedom, our current healthcare and financial system slavery, and the way out. In addition to the book, I also have an accompanying podcast that introduces some of the experts and practices that helped me achieve what I thought was impossible. I kept the desire and I gave up the struggle. And my wish is for it to spread to all women dealing with endo and all people in pain. Through my experience, I learned that all healing begins with being authentic, and that the truth really will set you free once you decide to break the ice. Thanks for listening.